Hello, everyone. In today's interview, I had a pleasure to host Kim Ballestrin. Kim, could you tell us what are you doing? Oh, sorry, that wasn't the best start. Apologies for that. Again. Hello, everyone. In today's episode, I had a pleasure to host Kim Ballestrin. Kim, could you introduce yourself?
Certainly. Thanks, Chris. So I live in Melbourne, Australia, and I'm also the group manager for a company called Elaborate for the Canberra office. So that's two different areas of Australia. And up until March this year, I was traveling to Canberra every week. That obviously had to stop in March, but I am looking forward to starting to travel again probably in February. So what do? I do a lot of consulting, advisory, etc. type work with lots of large organisations, including government.
That sounds really interesting. When have you learned about Wardley Mapping?
Now, that was a really interesting journey for me. I was going to Lean Agile Scotland. I've been going to that conference for quite a while, and a lot of my friends in the Lean and Agile community were saying, oh, Wardley Mapping's great, and this and that and everything. I'm like, oh, okay, so I'll look it up. And of course, when you look up Wardley Mapping, the first thing it takes you to is the Medium post that Simon has put together. And for someone who doesn't understand Wardley Mapping, like me, and I struggled, right? So I was trying to wade through them. I'm going, well, I know they're good. This reads well. What is it? and then Simon actually presented at Lean Agile Scotland. And that was when the penny dropped for me. I suddenly understood what he meant. And I had something that I could use. And so simplistically for me, Wardley Mapping is the way that Simon describes it in its simplest form. Grab a user need, put that at the top. Put the chain of things that support that need from top to bottom. And if you need an order, put the things that the person can see at the top and the things they can't see at the bottom. And then spread them out from left to right with your the things that you're in Genesis, you have to hand roll and hand make at the left, and then at the right, the commodity stuff. And then have a look at what you've got and see, is that what it is? Is that what it should be? And where does it go? So once I understood that, now I had a tool that I could actually use to put a whole bunch of things in different ways.
Awesome. And could you describe any example or a situation in which Wardley Mapping delivered some value to you and defined that value? What have you got from the practice of doing the map?
So the other thing that is in my background is the Cynefin framework. Okay, and so that I'm quite practiced at facilitating sessions and using the framework to help people have useful conversations. So Wardley Mapping's very similar. I like to use it as an element of part of a bigger piece of workshopping activities. So an example that I had was there was an area, and what they wanted to do was they needed to make a decision about a body of a decision-making committee. So it was a decision about a decision-making committee that they thought wasn't quite as useful as it could be. So what we did was we looked at what were the processes that was supporting, and what we did from top of the process down to the bottom. So again, the end user need was at the top. What is the thing that these processes were supporting? What were the process steps and where did it go through from top to bottom? And then left to right was how well organized and how useful those things were. So of course, this committee area ended up towards the left. So because it wasn't quite as well organized. And so then what we did, so that helped to frame it for us. And then we didn't really use it from the way that Simon would describe it, but that allowed us to have a conversation about, well, what decisions are being made in that committee? And do they still need to be made? And if that committee wasn't there, where would they be made? We were able to use the picture. What it was literally index cards blue tacked to a wall, right? We were able to point at things. It made it not, it wasn't a that thing over there or that thing over there. It was this is here, this is this part of the process, this decision, and this one would go here and this one would go there, which was fantastic. And at the start of the day, we all thought that this would just validate the idea to eliminate that committee. But by the end of the conversation, the decision was actually to keep it, which was fabulous, and to work on improving their processes and their decision making so that it would be more useful and more structured. And this was the one that sometimes I've mentioned before, where about a month or so later, I rang the person up and I said, "How's it going with that group?" And she said, "Oh, it's getting better." I said, "How much better?" She goes, "Oh, it's probably moved about 5 centimeters." So
Awesome.
Normally, measurement of distance doesn't make any sense, but in this case it did.
Awesome. So, okay, I think I understand how you are using it in this situation, and I like it. I just wonder, what would be your advice to people who are starting their adventure with Wardley Mapping?
I tell them to watch the video from Simon presenting at Lean Agile Scotland, because the great thing about Lean Agile Scotland is they recorded a lot of the sessions and they're freely available. And if you happen to see someone with the back of their head nodding up and down with bright red hair, that's me, because I was sitting near the front.
Okay.
Madly taking notes as he was talking. So normally, if people haven't done much Wardley mapping before, I will send them to watch that video, because that, as I said, was where the penny dropped for me. And it's a great place to understand what it is and how you could use it.
Okay, thank you, Kim. It was an absolute pleasure to have you here. And I wish you all the best. Thanks.
Thanks very much, Chris.